Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we're actually going to be getting our Kubota Z421 ready for the first mowing of the season. I have had it out and I started it up back a week or so ago, and I just wanted to make sure that the battery was up and all that kind of stuff. I have a battery maintainer, which I don't always leave it on the mower, but every so often I'll kind of go through and hook it up to the mower and let it get charged up, hook it up to the razor. If anything's been sitting for a while, I'll hook that thing up to it just to keep the battery nice and fresh on it. So, the mower has been started and moved around and stuff, but really not done too much with it. So I'm going to get it out today, show you a few things just to kind of get it prepared to mow, which a really cool thing about this mower, you'll be surprised at how little there is to do to get it ready to go again for the season. That's all it takes. So we're going to jump in here and level out all of our air pressures in our tires. Now I've actually got mine set a little different than what factory recommends. And I actually do that because the zero turn rides so rough that I keep the front caster wheels a little bit soft and really, quite a bit lower in pressure than what they actually recommend. But I keep them pretty soft so that they'll kind of flex just a little bit. The rear is the same way. I keep them actually, fairly soft. But running the tires a little bit low on air pressure really helped the ride on it. And that's all in personal preference because, like I say, they have recommendations at the manufacturer. And the reason they have those is because, certain ways that you run the machine, you could actually, pop a tire off a rim, or if you run into something that's more susceptible to puncture. And that's why they have these recommended levels of air pressure. But I just kind of experimented with them a little bit and run what I felt was solid for the machine. So if you're on a sideways place, you can tell whether the machine feels squishy or, like whether it's the tires are kind of rolling over for not having enough air in them, or whether, whether the ride feels solid. But like I say, the tires made the ride so rough. But since then, I did add suspension to my seat, and I used the factory Kubota seat that came on the mower, but I bought a kit that mounts on the bottom, and I didn't actually do a video on it. I got into a great big hurry whenever I got this thing and I was going somewhere to mow, and I was like, man, I can throw that thing on there and, get where I'm going, and I just got in a big hurry and didn't video it. But I will say that this was about half the price of getting the one from Kubota, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I've been told that that was the same manufacturer that made that suspension part that bolts on, and it's a direct bolt on to it. So you don't have to modify any holes or anything, at least on this particular mower. They do sell it as, I think, like a universal type thing, but it fits directly on this mower without any problem, and it makes a world of difference. But anyways, enough about that right now. Like I say, I'm going to go through, get my air pressures evened out, and normally I would change my oil, but I've already done that. I've changed it right at the end of last year. But I am going to check all that stuff to make sure that the oil levels are good. And of course, it's got fuel in it. I put fuel in it. I had fuel stabilizer in the gas because I don't have easy access to ethanol-free gas. So I do use fuel stabilizers in it to keep from gumming up everything. Normally, I would give this thing a good bath too, but I'm not going to today. It's about to rain, and I'm hoping I can get through this stuff and at least mow my little front yard out here before it starts raining. So once again, pressured for time, trying to hurry up and get this done. But hopefully here in the next day or two, then I'll be able to get to it and wash it up good. But, it's kind of like the first time of the season, I always like to do this stuff. But sometimes it may not be the very first cut, before I cut the yard, simply because time restraints. But anyways, let's get to it, try to get this done. So on these tires, it actually says to inflate them to 20 pounds. But I actually only run them maybe about 12. So that seems to work out best for me. And right now, this one only has about 5 in it. it's pretty much flat. One thing we're not doing today, guys, is getting underneath this thing. I've got it picked up with the tractor. I'll be reaching my arm under there. If something happens, I can get back out. In case anybody's wondering, this is a 30 millimeter nut, or 30 millimeter bolt, actually. I had some mixed feelings about this sharpening method last time I used this, but last time I used this, I was trying to use it on a set of mulching blades. But where this blade is straight, the part you need to sharpen, this tool works excellent. It actually puts a factory-looking edge back on your blade. It's really cool. Now there's a couple of nicks and stuff still in here that you could eventually take it all the way out, but you can see the new ground part. It actually keeps that same factory angle on the blade and does a pretty good job. It's not the fastest way to do it, but it does a pretty good job of getting that down there. And then, you know, you can check the balance to make sure that you take the same amount off both sides to make sure you keep your blades balanced. But it keeps that same factory edge and brings it right out to the tip and makes a pretty good edge on it. It's not the sharpest you could get it, but it's not bad. And, you know, for the simplicity of it, it works pretty good. I think I still might actually like going to the bench grinder maybe a little bit better than that, just to get that real nice edge, and then you can take out all the chips quite a bit faster. But, you know, for somebody that's just wanting something that's simple to use and it gets the job done, then that little setup actually works quite well. So we always want to make sure that we check our oil too, because you never know, there may not be an oil spot sitting underneath your machine, but you might not have checked it correctly last year when you parked it, and, you know, something could change. So it's always good to check it before you get to using it again throughout the year. And we are in our safe zone. And like I say, just to show you, you see how clean this oil is. Like I say, it has pretty much no hours on it because I changed it at the end of last year. So we're good to go on that. And actually, probably be good for the entire season on that, depending on how many hours we use it. But, you know, typically, for what I use it for, I only used it 70 hours last year, and I'm thinking the oil change interval is about 100 or 150 hours. I don't know. I'd have to check the manual, so don't quote me on that. But I do know that typically I use it less than what the oil change intervals would be hourly, so I just change it yearly every time, or every start of the season, or in like last year at the end of last season. So anyways, guys, it's about to rain, so I'm going to jump in here. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. There's one more thing that is good to check, and that is the air filter. So this is why you always want to check the air filter, because this thing has got all kinds of debris and stuff on it. Now this is just a pre-filter on this one, and then you have the main filter underneath it. So it even helps if you just pull the pre-filter off and, you know, clean the debris off of it. As you can see how much will come off of that and what a difference that would even make, just keeping that clean. But it's always good at the beginning of the season. You know that the main filter is going to be dirty too. This thing goes through a lot of dust. So it's always good to check that and change it or clean it as necessary. And the cool thing about this, if you need to take that air filter loose, it's got a wing style nut for this band clamp. So that way you can take it loose and there's your air filter loose, no problems. And when you clean an air filter, I'm just going to blow mine out for right now, but I am going to buy a new one to replace this because, you know, it's got 70 hours on it, and even just replacing this once a year, these are kind of expensive compared to some other filters. But, you know, like I say, just once a year, it's not so bad. And you don't want to do what I just did. You don't want to blow this from the outside, because then you're blowing debris and stuff to the inside of this filter or forcing it through. And then when you go to reuse it, you start up your machine and you suck in all that stuff that you blew to the inside. So if you're going to blow one out, always make sure that you blow it from the inside out. Like I say, it would definitely be better to replace this filter, but I want to get my front yard mowed, so I'm just going to kind of clean it out. I'm going to get me a filter next time I'm out. It's kind of tough right now, though. There's so much going on with the whole coronavirus thing, and I know my local dealers are open as of right now, but I tend to not go anywhere. So I go to work, I do my job, I come home, and that's where I stay at. So stuff like this, yeah, I may put that on the back burner for a little bit, but as soon as I get a chance and all these bands are lifted and all that kind of stuff, then I'll definitely get out there and get this filter, because I definitely want a new filter for it. It's not going to hurt to put one in it once a year, or, you know, I mean, a lot of people are going to be into a lot dustier conditions than what I am, or they might put a couple hundred hours on their machine, or even 300-400 hours a year. These commercial companies, you know, they're putting a lot of hours on their machines, and they probably have to change or clean their filter, you know, just every little bit. So it's not that necessary for me to do. And always make sure to grease your casters too. I try to do this every single time that I mow, but if I can't, I do it at least every other time. But sometimes I'll get in a hurry again, load my mower up, throw it on the trailer, head to my mom's and be like, oh no, I forgot to grease the casters. But I'd say it's pretty sufficient, because I'm only running it a few hours in between each time. But I like to put a little bit of grease, and when you see the new grease just start to squirt out of your bushings, then you know you've got enough grease in there. So guys, it's about to start raining. I'm gonna jump in there, get on the mower, try to get this front yard cut. I know it doesn't look like it on the camera, but this yard's got a real slope to it, and it actually gets really steep down here at the bottom towards the driveway. And, you know, you've got to really be careful on a zero turn, because they'll tend to run away from you. But if mine runs away, I'm just going to go into the driveway. So I really don't care here. But on other places, like the other day, I actually ran through the fence the other day. So you have to watch out for that. And I'll do a video coming up on that pretty soon about how these zero turns, the stick controlled zero turns, work out on hills, and kind of show you a little example of that. But for now, it's about to rain. It's 7 o'clock. It looks like it's about 9. So I'm going to jump in here, try to get this cut before the rain starts coming, and try to get things done. Guys, if you enjoyed the video today, make sure you click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe, and thanks for watching.